History remembers Chernobyl as the world's worst nuclear disaster, but long before the world knew what had happened, an entire city carried on as if nothing was wrong. Children went to school, workers reported for duty, families planned their weekend. Less than 2 miles away, Reactor No. 4 had already exploded. By the following afternoon, the city would be empty forever. This is Pripyat. In 1986, it wasn't a ghost town. It was one of the youngest and most modern cities in the Soviet Union. Built to serve the nearby Chernobyl Nuclear Power Plant, the city was home to nearly 50,000 people. Its wide boulevards, modern apartment blocks, schools, parks, and cafes reflected a future filled with optimism. For many families, Pripyat wasn't just a place to live, it was a symbol of progress. No one imagined that, within hours, that future would disappear forever. Just outside the city stood the Chernobyl Nuclear Power Plant, one of the Soviet Union's most ambitious engineering projects. For the people of Pripyat, the plant wasn't a source of fear. It was a source of pride, providing jobs, stability, and a comfortable standard of living. Every morning, buses carried thousands of workers to the reactors, while hospitals, schools, supermarkets, and local businesses welcomed another ordinary day. Life here felt safe, modern, and predictable. Even the city's new amusement park was ready to open for the May Day celebrations, just days away. No one knew that the countdown to one of history's greatest disasters had already begun. The experiment had been delayed for hours, forcing the night shift to complete a test they hadn't originally planned to perform. At first, everything appeared to be under control. Then, the reactor suddenly became unstable. At 1:23 a.m., Reactor No. 4 exploded. The explosion ripped the reactor apart. Firefighters rushed in, unaware of the invisible danger surrounding them. Radioactive material spread silently into the night sky. Just a few kilometers away, the people of Pripyat slept peacefully, unaware that their city had already changed forever. Morning arrived, but the danger remained invisible. The city woke up as it always had. Children went to school, shops opened, buses followed their usual routes. Many residents noticed the smoke, but few understood what they were looking at. Some even gathered to watch the glow above the reactor, unaware that the air itself had become dangerous. For hours, no public warning was issued. As the hours passed, the true scale of the disaster slowly became impossible to ignore. Behind closed doors, officials debated what should be done, while outside, hundreds of buses quietly gathered around the city. It was the first visible sign that Pripyat was about to become a place people would leave, but never truly return to. On the afternoon of April the 27th, the order to evacuate Pripyat was finally announced. Residents were instructed to bring only their documents, essential belongings, and enough supplies for a few days. They were told the evacuation was temporary. So they locked their apartment doors, left family photographs on the shelves, children's toys on the floor, meals still sitting on kitchen tables. Bus after bus carried nearly 50,000 people away from the city. None of them knew they were looking at their homes for the last time. For those who stayed behind, the disaster was only beginning. The first firefighters rushed toward the burning reactor, believing they were fighting an ordinary industrial fire. They had no idea they were being exposed to lethal levels of radiation. Within hours, workers and emergency crews began showing the devastating effects of acute radiation sickness. Many would never recover. As the reactor continued burning, helicopters flew directly above it, dropping thousands of tons of sand, lead, clay, and boron in a desperate attempt to contain the radioactive fire. In the months and years that followed, hundreds of thousands of soldiers, engineers, miners, and volunteers were sent to clean up the aftermath. They became known as the Liquidators, risking their own lives to prevent an even greater catastrophe. Entire towns and villages were abandoned, and a vast exclusion zone was established around the reactor. Nearly 4 decades later, much of it remains uninhabitable, a lasting reminder of the price paid by those who stood between the world and an even greater disaster. When the last evacuation bus disappeared beyond the city limits, Pripyat fell silent. The streets remained exactly where they had always been. The apartment buildings still stood. Schools, hospitals, cafes, and playgrounds were untouched, but without the people who gave them meaning. They became something else entirely. Inside the apartments, family photographs still rested on shelves. Children's books remained open in classrooms. Toys waited in empty bedrooms for children who would never come back. Even the amusement park, built to celebrate a new future, never truly became part of the city's life. It opened only after the disaster, briefly, before being abandoned forever. Decades later, nature has reclaimed much of Pripyat. Trees grow through broken concrete, and silence has replaced the sounds of everyday life. The city still stands, not as a monument to the explosion itself, but as a reminder of how quickly an ordinary day can become the last one people ever remember. Chernobyl is often remembered for the explosion, but Pripyat tells a different story. It reminds us that history is not only measured by the moment disaster begins, but by the lives that can never return to what they once were. Today, the city still stands. Its buildings are empty. Its streets are silent, yet every abandoned room, every classroom, and every forgotten photograph remains a quiet witness to one ordinary day that became the last normal day for an entire city.